Hello friends, it's Karla back today with Creative Scrapbooker Magazine. Today we are making a card together and you can see the shimmer and shine that's on this card. We are going to use some beautiful Stampers Anonymous products. We've got the Tim Holtz stencil and stamp combo, and this is the Mixed Media 24 set. So we have a combination stencil as well as a stamp that has lots of floral images that you can mix and match and lots of great sentiments. We have the Lindy's Magicals. This is the Steampunk Soiree set of powders. And then we have Ranger inks. We've got the archival ink as well as some distress oxides here that we're going to use with that awesome stencil. And then of course we have our Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. We've got some dots, adhesive dots, and Easy Runner. And I really am loving this Ranger water sprayer, the Olfa Craft scissors, and then we have Unity Stamps dies. So here we are starting our card. I have some Bristol vellum cardstock, or you could use watercolor as well. I'm using the Bristol because it's great with watercoloring and it's nice and smooth. So I'm stamping the archival ink. This is not going to move when we put on our watercolor. And just picking the flowers that I want to go with the stems. I really like that you can mix and match this set and add in whichever stems you want and the flower images. So I've created a mask with some sticky notes. I fussy cut them with those Olfa scissors, and I stamped the image on the sticky note and then trimmed them out. And that way I can add more flowers. So the flower that you put first is going to be the flower that is closest to you. And then we mask that off so we can add the stem and the next flower, and it'll look like it's a little bit behind that first flower. And then we're going to add the other flower in there. And they just kind of fit on top of the stems, really easy. I really enjoyed working with these florals. So now that we have them stamped on, you can see how it looks, and we have created that little flower cluster. I'm going to take those magical powders out of the pack, and I'm going to use 4 of them. So we've got the purple that is Petticoat Plum, and I'm using a dry paintbrush to pull a little bit of powder out of the little package of magicals there, the little container. And then this is the yellow, and the yellow is Yesteryear Yellow. And then we have the brown, and that's Bandolier Brown. I'm just wiping off that dry paintbrush in between. I don't want to get that wet because I don't want to activate any of those powders yet. And then the teal color is Top Hat Teal. So they're all beautiful colors, and they come in this set, and you kind of know that those tones are all going to match. So you can go ahead and use those all together and not really worry about your color scheme. So I added a little bit of water from that Ranger Distress sprayer, and now I can just go right on top of the stamped image and paint that in. I like using the brown color. It was the Vintage Photo Archival ink from Ranger, and it almost gives us a no-line coloring effect, but we can still see the lines a little bit. Just a different effect from when you use black to stamp. So sometimes I do like to do that. These magicals have shimmer in them, some mica powder, and so once you paint your image, you will see that shimmer come out when it starts to dry. So it's really pretty. I just have a little container with some water, and then all I'm doing is in between the colors, I'm rinsing my paintbrush and then wiping it onto a cloth. Then I can go and dip into my next color. So this flower is going to be yellow. Really love this deep yellow that's in this set, and it could be used for so many different things. I wanted to add a little bit of brown, so I'm just dipping the paintbrush into brown, adding a little bit extra water to kind of soften that, and that'll give me a little bit of brown right in the center. Now, because I put that on top of a wet color, the watercolor mixes, and now I'm going to dry that background because I don't want the brown that I'm putting on the flower center that's purple, I don't want that to mix in with the purple. So I just gave it a little dry with the Ranger Heat It tool. Really loving that tool as well. Great for drying backgrounds, and it does emboss as well. You can do more than one layer on your backgrounds. And now I wanted a little bit more of a green rather than the teal, so I was able to do that by just mixing the yellow and the teal together to get a very pretty green. So don't be afraid to mix your colors and create different colors. And then I'm just painting in that stem with, it's a fairly small paintbrush. So here's a look at that beautiful background. And now just to give you a peek at what I'm going to do with the leftover stuff. I'm not going to use this today, but I definitely couldn't let it go to waste. That powder that's on the background, I added a little bit more water and some Creative Scrapbooker Superstock, and now I have a panel for another card. So back to our card that we're making, I'm using the Antique Linen Distress Oxide. It's nice and soft. This paper blends really well because it's so smooth as well. And then I'm using the Stencil with the Seedless Preserves and just going over making some soft circles on top of that antique linen and just framing those flowers. So it's really easy background, but very pretty, and I matched the Oxide colors to match the Lindy's Magicals so that everything would just look very nice, and I'm going for a kind of a vintage look. I've die cut the background with the Unity dies as well as some purple cardstock, and then I can use the Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L Easy Runner to adhere the scallop background as well as the panel once we go ahead and add our sentiment. So I pulled a sentiment from that stamp set, and I really want to make sure that Distress ink in the background is dry. So I heated it, I added a little bit of the powder tool there, and now I can go ahead and use the Ranger embossing ink. It's a clear sticky ink, and our embossing powder is going to stick to wherever this stamps. So I'm going to put that aside, grab a piece of scrap paper, and then I've got this IndigoBlu Glam Rock Gold embossing powder. It's a really nice, fine gold embossing powder. It looks beautiful, and I can emboss it with the Ranger Heat It tool. So that's just heating up that embossing powder until it melts and it's beautiful and shiny. And I love the gold look of this with those flowers. So there's our sentiment all completed. And we're going ahead and attaching with that Easy Runner from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L again, and just applying that to the card base. I want to add a few gems, so I've grabbed the adhesive dots from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L, and I can use these tiny dots, they're only 1/8 of an inch, and add them to the back of the Pink Fresh gems, and just use that little pointy end to adhere them to the card. There's our completed card. I had so much fun making this. I love the shine when the light hits this card, and I love that it's a really easy card, but it has lots of layers, and I had fun making it. So I hope that you'll check out some of these fun products, and thanks for watching. Bye.